Hey guys, welcome to another 31 Horror Toys in 31 Days review. Today I'm going to be taking a look at the Clive Barker Tortured Souls Scythe Meister figure. It's Scythe Meister. That name is just terrible. I could understand like Scythe Master, but they went for Meister, which just sounds like Burgermeister to me, and now I can't stop thinking of that stupid Christmas stop-motion movie. Oy. But the figure doesn't really match the name because it does look pretty dang cool. There are quite a few problems, we'll go over that in a moment, but first off, let's just talk about what this is. Now this is a Mcfarlane Toys figure, so keep in mind there's not much mobility, but the sculpt and paint detail will be, like, on point. This is from an earlier date. I think this is early 2000s, perhaps late 90s. I'm not positive on that. But this is supposed to be like a Cenobite, so this is like a Pinhead, but different. Let's see, is my camera out of focus? I think it is. Anyway. Yeah, and I'm not sure, I don't think this one's actually been in any of the movies. I think for the Tortured Souls line, they did a bunch of Cenobites that weren't actually in any movie. At least as far as I know. I've only seen the first two Hellraisers, so. Alright, so to kick off the review, we're going to start with sculpt and paint, then we'll move on to articulation. I do accessories, but it doesn't really have accessories so much as just things attached to it. I think it did have a few things that weren't attached, but those are long gone by now. Alright, let's get a close-up look at his, or, I don't know, is this a girl? Well, whatever it is, let's get a close-up look at its face. And as you can see, it's got a beautiful mug here. Just look at that. Yeah, got all those wrinkles. Oh, it's got its skin pulled back. So the idea of this is like they're all Cenobites, so of course they're all tortured in their own way, but this guy's got it way worse than Pinhead. Pinhead just had pins in his face. Look at this. That face is just pulled the hell back. And then there's not 1 inch of him that's like normal. He's got a little fuzz on him. Something weird is the hands are made out of an odd material. They just, I don't know, they're like gummy. Alright. For the face, you can see these leather straps that are covering the eyes. They do move, so you can see some of that beautiful mug. You know, it's the stuff you were missing. That is just messed up. Look at that. The one eyeball is like way up there. The other one's there. Let's put that back over there. It looked slightly better when that was covered up. Gosh. There we are. Back to its restored beauty. Alright. It's got these nice pins set into its face to keep that in there. And then this strap in its mouth. If we take that out. I'm not sure if we can take this one out though. Let's see. Erg. Yeah, it doesn't want to come out, so you can see that it's got a nice teeth sculpt in there, and it's painted fairly well. Big complaint here is on the head sculpt. You can see these parts where there's like scissors and stuff sticking out. Those are so fragile. They break. Like more toothpicks are honestly less hard to break. Or, toothpicks are harder to break. These are just ridiculous. It's like so tiny, and they should have made it out of rubber or something, but instead it's this solid plastic, and I've already lost, what, 1, 2, 3 of them. This one's about to go. This is just terrible. And I just got this guy, and he had all of his stuff on him. So, that's just terrible. But it does look cool having all these things there. Without it, it kind of does look a little off. But anyway, that reminds me of something my friend told me. He said the Tortured Soul the Tortured Soul figures, I don't know why that was so hard for me to say. The Tortured Soul figures are best in package. You look at them in package, you're like, oh my gosh, these are amazing. You so badly want to take them out of package, and look at them. You take them out and they're immediately ruined. It's just like, oh, well, not much articulation, and then it starts falling apart. So yeah, if you have these in package, I'd recommend just leaving them in there, because unless you want to do stop motions or play around with them, just keep in mind they're fragile as hell. Alright. So yeah, he's got a great face sculpt. You can see the back of that head there. It's got the chains attached to it. And then the body's all clad in this patchwork leather that looks pretty cool. It's got like tubular stuff there. I feel like that was supposed to be skin toned, like his skin tone, but I don't know, maybe it's not. Just seems like it. And he's got torn up body. I like how you can see some muscle under there. Ugh, a little bit gristle and all. Ugh. I suppose that's supposed to be intestines. This just looks like red toilet paper that's stuck to him, though. It's made out of rubber and it's pliable as hell. Move that around. Then he's got these, I'm not, accessory type things that just dangle from these chains. Now, what's weird is these chains up here, I think these are made out of metal. This one's made out of metal, but then this one here is this thick one. It's made out of cheap plastic. You could feel that would break if you tugged just once. Tug, break. In fact, all of these chains could come off easily just by a quick tug because it's supported by tiny little loops, and I don't feel too confident in those loops, especially since we already know how cheap the plastic can be. Alright, but one of these is this nice knife looking thing, which because of the way its hands are sculpted, it can't hold them too well, but it can kind of. It's got some sort of writing on it. Must be some evil devil language or something. And then you can just kind of set that in a hand, like just because it has this thing here, you can put that in between fingers and that'll help him hold it. But it doesn't really look like he's supposed to hold these. Like, that just looks wrong. I feel like those are just meant to dangle at his side. And they're way long, so they kind of just drag on the ground. It's also got this hook here, which is well sculpted. It's got some blood on it. And I'm not sure, I think one of these chains may have broken off. It's so hard to tell, though, because he's got so much going on. And then he's got another hook there. So 2 hooks, and then this. I don't know what that has to do with him being the Scythe Meister, but whatever. I guess, is this supposed to be a scythe? Because that doesn't look like a scythe. Why is this called the scythe at all? Am I missing a big scythe art accessory or something? I'm going to look it up. But no, I don't think so. See, the hands are very well sculpted too, I will add. They've got a very gestural pose. It's got some nice silver painted on there. And then the other hand has a little bit of fingernail paint. So you can see those dirty, ugly, gross fingernails. Ugh. I like the belt buckles are all done up. The leather feels like it's been worn. I think they did a dry brushing of a lighter color. And that gives this whole lived-in leather look. Ugh. And then we're going to do the underskirt shot just because I find this disgusting. They actually put underwear on this thing. It's like, why didn't you just have the pants go all the way up? But nope. It's like a G-string down there. Ugh. Golly. The legs are well sculpted. A lot of the sculpt is covered up, but you can see under this soft rubber that there's something under there. And then a lot of straps and stuff on this guy. Seems like a product of the 90s. Alright. Then here we have his big setup or it's just a weird rig. So it pulls back, and that is connected to his head, so the chains pull with it, so it can go to about this far with the articulation, and then it can go forward a bit. The back piece keeps coming out. It's just, I'm not sure what this is supposed to be. Is this just to torture him, or what? And then we've got this hook piece here. I'm not sure, is he supposed to have his hand in that? These things don't really show, like, what the torture devices are supposed to be, I feel like they should come with a booklet saying what these torture devices do. Otherwise, they're just kind of ambiguous and odd. So you can see the metal parts of this are sculpted very well, though. Just look at that. And there's no real paint detail on the metal parts other than just silver. But you can see there's a little nicks put into it. Actually, that's more of their foreign language, isn't it? Yeah, it is. There's some on this side, too. I wonder what that translates to. Is that a real language or something? And I'm just stupid? Well, whatever. And then you can see all these scissors here, which these things want to break off too. But he's got like, I'm not sure what half of these are. Some of them look like just pins to be set in there, like if it were an actual piece of equipment. But then some look like syringes. That one just looks like a scissor. I'm not sure. I think one of these are broken off, I think. Ugh. Now he's got them up here too. I guess the idea is these things all hold in the chains. There's no chains for this one. I don't even know. I can't even. But that's the sculpt and paint basically. You can see there's a lot of detail. Honestly, there's no complaints on the whole aesthetic because he gets down a Cenobite look and he's creepy as hell. As for the plastic that they used and the whole scissor thing, that's a real letdown because that stuff just breaks off. The chains, that's screwy. And then we're going to get into articulation. So be prepared to be unamused by the articulation. It's like not horrible, but it's also not amazing or good really. So we're going to start with the head. The head can move. Because it's got the chains on, it's very limited, as well as having all these things on his head that have like scissors sticking out. So he can turn his head about that much and then that much. No up and down articulation, just a swivel. Then at the shoulders he can move up to a 360 spin. At this one at least. And then a full 360 near the elbow. It's not really at the elbow. You can see his elbow's right there. And that's a little above there. And then at the wrist there should be articulation, but his hands are all gummy. I feel like it's kind of melted together. Yeah, there we are. Just had to pull it. Does a full 360 spin. That's not terrible. This shoulder's inhibited because of the whole work there. You move up that much and backward that much. Then there's another spin just next to the elbow, not the actual elbow. Then at the other wrist, there's another full 360 spin. This one at an angle, so it looks weird. So then he also has no waist articulation, but then at the hips, he can kick forward the slightest bit, kick back a little bit more, and then the same on the other leg. And that's the end of that articulation there. No knee articulation or ankle, but this thing here is articulated, so I guess we have to point that out. Also, this is kind of removable. You can pull it off of his back and then it'll just dangle. So I will add that that is something you could do if you were stupid, I don't know, like me. There's no reason to really do that, is my point. Let me stick that back in there. Not sure why they made it removable. Because the chains aren't coming off, so it's not technically removable. I don't know. And every time I do that, these stupid chains get all tangled around. That's just great. Just great. Let me pull that back up. But, golly. We'll go over the articulation in a second. Jerry just has a technical problem here. And, golly. So yeah, there's no point for that to come off. Why do they bother having it come off if all it does is screw with you and you have to finagle it back into a normal position? I don't know, it seems stupid. I guess it's nice to have the option, but why? So the articulation points on this back thing are two at the first hinge there, I don't know. It's got back and forth that's very slight. And then it moving up, there's nothing on this piece, but then we move to the separate arm, which is very inhibited because of his arm there. You can move up and down like that, and then it can bend, and then it can flop over at the top here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points of articulation. You get 6 points of articulation there, which pretty much matches what his articulation is on the main figure. I don't know, it's odd. But would I recommend this figure? If you're a fan of the Cenobites and you don't mind just setting something on a shelf and hoping to God that it doesn't fall over or break it anyway, then yeah, I'd recommend him. If you do have a problem with any of that stuff, then don't get him. He's just too much of a problem, really. If you find him for cheap, he's cool to have as a background character. He's cool to have as a Cenobite. Cenobites are pretty cool. I feel like having a whole army of them would just be amazing. So, I don't know. Tell me what you guys think. Make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you guys in the next review.